The confidential and predecisional NIST WTC7 Report. A first glimpse. The document contains 3 chapters. The PITS chapter about visual evidence, damage estimates, and timeline analysis. The PRASA chapter about fire structure interface and thermal response analysis. And the McGrattan chapter about fire modeling. All chapters are numbered as Chapter 1. From the PITS chapter we can learn. Building number 7 was hit by debris from about 20 floors below the burning floors of the North Tower. The chapter shows burnt cars around Building 7 and smoking debris. What do we learn about the ignition source? The number and wide distribution of vehicle and building fires ignited following the collapse of WTC1 and WTC2 confirms that substantial numbers of burning sources capable of igniting substantial fires reached the ground and were widely distributed by the gravity waves. Since fires were observed on all 4 sides of WTC7, it is considered likely that numerous potential ignition sources entered WTC7 through openings created in the building during the collapses of the towers. And the McGrattan chapter says, for WTC7, however, the ignition and early course of the fires were unknown because they were assumed to have occurred in the damaged and heavily smoke-shrouded southern portion of the building. For this reason, the simulated fires were assumed to have originated near the southern face of the building. For each floor, a specified fire of 2 megawatts, essentially a steadily burning object, was positioned near the southern face of the building. But there are some problems. According to the PITS chapter, early fires were ignited at the southwest corners on the 19th, 22nd, 29th, and 30th floors. All these fires did not spread far before dying out, and there were no indications for fires on these floors later in the afternoon on the east, north, or west walls. But if these early fires died out without spreading, what ignited the later fires, and why did they spread through the whole floors? Let's have a look at McGrattan's computer simulation. Kevin McGrattan says, however, for the simulation of floor 8, a second specified fire was needed to spread the fire to the north face of the building, where it was observed from about 3 p.m. until collapse at 5:20. The second fire was needed because the first fire did not spread to the north face in preliminary simulations. The PITS chapter about the visual evidence tells us the earliest fires, observed on floor 8, were on the north face and windows near the center of the face. As late as 3:15 p.m. there was no indication of fire in this area. However, the McGrattan chapter about the computer simulation knows. Between 12:15 and 2:30, fire activity on floor 8 was observed at the south face by eyewitnesses near the southwest corner of the building. That's why a 2 megawatts fire was prescribed near the middle of the south face at 12:30, and a second 2 megawatts fire was prescribed near the northwest corner at 3:00. Certainly, the southwest corner of the 8th floor wasn't there anymore, and heavy bright white smoke covered the gaping hole. But at 12:10 to 12:15 p.m. firefighters found individuals on floors 7 and 8, and led them out of the building. No fires, heavy dust or smoke were reported as they left floor 8. Just a cubicle fire was seen along west wall on floor 7 just before leaving.
We started walking down the stairs, we made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Blew us back into the 8th floor. I said, this is it, we're dead. We're not gonna make it out of here. I took a fire extinguisher and I bust the window out.
Barry Jennings wasn't the last one in the building.
Richard Rotans had to assess the damage to Tower 7, and crucially, he saw the south face just after the North Tower had collapsed, slamming debris into it.
We're looking at the upper floors at Tower 7. You can see columns gone, floors collapsed, heavy smoke coming out, and fire. The upper floors were an inferno.
And then he had to go into that building to assess it.
According to the BBC Conspiracy Files website, he saw the upper 10 to 15 floors of Tower 7 on fire. Today we know there was neither an inferno nor any reported fire at the upper 15 floors. But Richard Rothans wasn't the last one in the building too. Around 1:45 p.m. the ABC live coverage shows another one who seemingly assessed the gash. The first visual evidence for burning on the floors of the Securities and Exchange Commission was seen about 20 minutes later. According to the Pitts chapter, a fire was present on the east face of the 11th floor as early as 2:08 p.m. As for the 11th floor, the first observation of a fire on the 12th floor was on the east face around 2:08 p.m. The first visual evidence for burning on the 13th floor was seen on the east face around 2:30 p.m. The fire is missing in the photo and the graphic. Pitts assuming that the fire on the 12th floor had bypassed the southeast corner as it moved from the south face onto the east. A frame taken from a video recorded shortly after 1:30 p.m. shows neither fire nor smoke from the open windows in the south of the 11th, 12th, and 13th floor. Nevertheless, the upper layer temperatures indicating that the simulated fire was originated prior to 1:00 p.m. in the McGrattan chapter, and prior to 1:30 p.m. in the Prasa chapter. Fire needs oxygen, and heat breaks windows. According to McGrattan, the spread of the fire beyond its point of origin was predicted by the simulation model, but windows were removed from the calculation at times observed in the photographs and videos. In other words, the spread of the simulated fire was guided by oxygen. Seemingly NIST decided not to simulate the glass breakage via a defined threshold of the gas temperature. This animation combines the findings of the Pitts chapter for the fire development as observed on the north face between the collapse of the North Tower and the collapse of building number 7. The Prasa chapter as well as the McGrattan chapter included some snapshots of the simulated fires on floor 7, floor 8 and floor 12 only. Let's compare the results of Pitts and McGrattan. Pitts about the 7th floor. The evidence suggests that the fire spreading along the west side turned the northwest corner and began to spread east across the north side sometime prior to 3:00 p.m. The fire on the north side spread relatively quickly, reaching column 47 by 3:12 p.m. The fire appeared to stop spreading after reaching this point, and the flames died away. Only indications of small localized spot fires to the west of column 47 were then observed, until around 4:15 p.m. Roughly 10 minutes after this time a large fire had developed to the east of column 47. By 4:38-11 p.m. windows were open at least as far east as 744D, and the new flames had already died down. No additional images are available to indicate the fire behavior further to the east on this floor. Pitts about the 8th floor. The earliest fires observed on the 8th floor were on the north face and windows near the center of the face. Later observations around 3:50 p.m. of intense burning on the north side of the west face at the same time that fires were dying at nearby locations on the north face suggest that the fire initially bypassed the northwest corner, only burning out this area after the fire became established on the north face. As late as 3:15 p.m. there was no indication of fire in this area, but within about 25 minutes a substantial fire spreading to the east was visible between windows 847C and 853C. The rapid development and flame spread on the north side of the floor continued after the fire were first observed, and flames reached the east face around 4:05 p.m. Extremely intense external flaming developed on the east face when the fire reached that location. By 4:40 p.m. much of the burning near the center of the north face had died down. The fires that were observed seemed to be located well away from the exterior wall.